Lana always considered herself lucky to have both a loving husband and a close relationship with her younger sister, Lily. Despite their 6-year age difference, Lana and Lily had always been inseparable, bonded by a childhood spent navigating their parents' chaotic divorce. When Lana married Jake 5 years ago, it felt like her family had expanded in the best way. Jake had welcomed Lily into their lives with open arms, often going out of his way to include her in family dinners, holidays, and casual outings. To Lana, this dynamic was the perfect blend of love and familial harmony. But cracks in this picture-perfect life began to show in ways Lana didn't immediately recognize. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. At a family dinner one weekend, Lana noticed that Jake seemed unusually attentive to Lily. It wasn't overt, just little things, the way he laughed a little too hard at her jokes, or how his eyes lingered on her when she spoke. At first, Lana dismissed it as her imagination. Jake had always been warm and charming, and Lily had a knack for being the center of attention in any room. Perhaps Lana was just feeling self-conscious. After all, she'd been working longer hours at her new job and hadn't had much time to focus on her marriage. Still, something about that evening nagged at Lana. Over the next few weeks, she started to notice other things. Jake's behavior toward her felt slightly different, distant, distracted. He'd always been affectionate, the type to kiss her forehead absent-mindedly or hold her hand during a movie. But now those small gestures had become rare. When she asked him about it, he blamed work stress. The turning point came one quiet Sunday morning. Jake had left his phone on the kitchen counter while taking a shower, and Lana was making coffee. His phone buzzed with a message, and without thinking, she glanced at the screen. It was a text from Lily. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again." Lana froze, her hand tightening around the coffee pot. Her mind raced, trying to rationalize what she'd just seen. Surely there was an innocent explanation. Maybe Lily was talking about a party or an event they'd attended together. But deep down, Lana knew the truth. Her hands trembling, she unlocked Jake's phone. He'd never been secretive about his passcode before. What she found shattered her. The message thread between Jake and Lily was filled with flirtatious exchanges, plans to meet in secret, and worse, explicit messages that left no room for doubt about the nature of their relationship. Lana felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Her heart pounded as she scrolled further, discovering that the affair had been going on for months. Now she couldn't believe the level of betrayal, not just from Jake, but from Lily, the sister she had always trusted implicitly. Lana spent the rest of the day in a daze, pretending everything was fine when Jake emerged from the shower. She forced herself to smile, to nod at his small talk, and to act as though she wasn't holding the weight of the world on her shoulders. Her mind, however, was a storm of anger, sadness, and confusion. She replayed every interaction between Jake and Lily over the past few months, wondering how she had missed the signs. How could they do this to her? By evening, Lana still hadn't confronted Jake. Part of her wanted to scream at him, to demand answers, but another part held her back. She needed time to process. She needed to think about what to do next. Confronting him now without a plan felt like giving up control, and Lana wasn't ready to do that. She decided to wait, to gather more information before taking action. In the days that followed, Lana started paying closer attention to Jake's behavior. She noticed how he would suddenly guard his phone more carefully, taking it with him, even for quick trips to the bathroom. He started working late more often, his explanations vague and unconvincing. Lana also began observing Lily, who seemed unusually cheerful every time they saw each other. It was like a veil had been lifted from Lana's eyes. Every interaction between Jake and Lily now appeared tinged with deceit. Unable to bear the weight of her suspicions alone, Lana confided in her best friend, Sarah. Over coffee at a quiet cafe, Lana recounted everything she had discovered. Sarah was furious on Lana's behalf, but she also advised caution. "Don't do anything rash," Sarah said. "You need to think this through. If you confront them now, they might just lie or deny everything. You need proof, something they can't talk their way out of." Lana nodded, knowing Sarah was right. It wasn't enough to simply accuse them. She needed to expose the truth in a way that left no room for doubt. Armed with this resolve, Lana began gathering evidence. She started with Jake's phone, carefully taking screenshots of the incriminating messages and saving them to a secure folder on her computer. She also began tracking his movements, noting the times he claimed to be working late and One evening, Lana followed Jake after he said he was going to the gym. She parked her car a safe distance away and watched as he met Lily at a small cafe on the outskirts of town. They sat in a corner booth, their heads close together, laughing and smiling in a way that made Lana's stomach churn. She took photos with her phone, her hands shaking as she captured the betrayal in real. Despite the pain, Lana maintained her composure. She couldn't afford to break down now. Every time she wanted to scream or cry, she reminded herself that she needed to stay strong. This wasn't just about confronting Jake and Lily. It was about reclaiming her life and showing them both that she wasn't someone to be underestimated. As the weeks went on, Lana continued to play the role of the unsuspecting wife and sister. She smiled at family gatherings, asked Lily about her job, and even kissed Jake goodbye as he left for his so-called late-night meetings. But beneath the surface, Lana was a volcano waiting to erupt. She didn't know exactly how she would confront them yet, but one thing was certain: when she did, it would be on her terms. Lana woke up every morning with the same sinking feeling in her chest, but she kept going. She knew she needed more than just the texts and photos she had already collected. The betrayal by Jake and Lily had gutted her, but anger had taken root alongside the heartbreak, fueling her resolve. She wasn't going to let them get away with it, not without consequences. The first thing Lana did was set up a secret email account to store all her evidence. She saved screenshots of Jake's incriminating messages, her photos of him meeting Lily, and notes documenting his lies. She wanted everything in one place, secure and inaccessible to anyone but herself. Lana also began keeping a journal. Each night she wrote down the details of Jake's behavior, when he claimed to be working late, how he acted around her, and any strange comments or inconsistencies she noticed. She wasn't sure if the journal would ever be useful, but it helped her stay focused. It gave her a sense of control in a situation that felt wildly out of her hands. She started paying closer attention to Jake's routines. For years, Lana had trusted him so completely that she hadn't thought twice about his comings and goings. Now every action seemed suspicious. When Jake said he had a late meeting, she discreetly checked his car's mileage the next morning, noting that it didn't match the distance to his office. When he said he was going to the gym, she followed him again and watched as he met Lily in the parking lot. They drove off together in Jake's car, disappearing into a residential neighborhood. Lana snapped more photos, her hands steady this time. Lily's behavior also became a point of focus. Lana had always known her sister to be outgoing and flirtatious, but now she saw those traits in a new light. Lily was texting more often when they were together, and her phone was always face down on the table. She started avoiding direct eye contact with Lana, as though she sensed the tension but didn't want to acknowledge it. One afternoon, Lana invited Lily over for coffee, determined to test her sister's reaction. Sitting across from her in the kitchen, Lana asked casual questions about Lily's life, her job, her friends, her dating life. Lily answered quickly, her tone breezy, but Lana noticed a nervous energy in her movements. When Lana mentioned Jake in passing, Lily's face betrayed a flicker of something, guilt, maybe, or fear. "Jake's been so busy lately," Lana said, watching Lily closely. "Sometimes I feel like I barely see him anymore." Lily took a sip of her coffee, avoiding Lana's gaze. "Yeah, well, work can be like that sometimes, right?" Lana nodded, forcing a smile. "I guess so. You don't think he's working too hard, do you?" Lily laughed awkwardly. "I'm sure he's fine. Jake's always been good at managing stress." It wasn't much, but Lana felt a small sense of satisfaction. Lily was clearly uncomfortable, and that discomfort confirmed what Lana already knew. Her sister wasn't as confident in her deception as she pretended to be. As the weeks went on, Lana expanded her efforts. She bought a small voice recorder and hid it in Jake's car. She wasn't sure if it was legal or ethical, but she needed to know what was going on when he wasn't with her. After a few days, she retrieved the recorder and listened to hours of silence, punctuated by snippets of music from the radio. But then she heard something that made her stomach drop. It was Jake's voice, speaking to someone in a low, intimate tone. "I can't wait to see you tonight," he said. "You looked so beautiful the other day. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you." The other person's response was muffled, but Lana recognized Lily's voice instantly. The betrayal felt fresh all over again, like a wound that refused to heal. But instead of falling apart, Lana added the recording to her growing collection of evidence. Lana also began to notice patterns in Jake and Lily's behavior. They often used the same excuses. Jake would claim he had an important meeting, and Lily would mention a friend she was meeting for drinks. The coordination was sloppy, almost careless, and it infuriated Lana. Did they think she was stupid? That she wouldn't notice? One evening, Lana decided to test their excuses. Jake had said he'd be working late, and Lily had mentioned plans with a friend. Lana told Jake she was going out with Sarah, but instead she drove to the restaurant where Lily had said she'd be. She parked across the street and waited. Sure enough, Jake and Lily arrived together, laughing and holding hands as they walked inside. Lana stayed in her car, watching them through the window. They looked so comfortable, so at ease in their deception, it made her sick. She took more photos, documenting their movements, before driving home. She knew she couldn't keep this up forever, pretending everything was fine while they carried on behind her back. But she wasn't ready to confront them yet. She needed to be strategic. Lana also started researching legal options. She didn't know much about divorce law, but she wanted to understand her rights. Could she use the evidence she'd collected in court? Would it make a difference? She scheduled a meeting with a lawyer, who advised her to proceed carefully. "Keep documenting everything," the lawyer said. "The more evidence you have, the stronger your case will be. And don't confront him until you're ready to take action. If he knows what you're planning, he could try to manipulate the situation." Lana took the advice to heart. She continued her surveillance, even though it was exhausting. Every time she caught Jake and Lily together, it felt like a dagger to the heart, but she refused to let them see her pain. Instead, she changed. One night, as she lay awake in bed, listening to Jake's soft snores, Lana thought about how far she'd come. A part of her still couldn't believe this was her life, that the man she'd loved and trusted, and the sister she'd adored, could betray her in such a profound way. But another part of her felt stronger than ever. She wasn't the naive, trusting person she'd been a few months ago. She was someone who knew how to fight back. The day of the family dinner finally arrived. Lana spent the morning preparing, cleaning the house, laying out food, and making sure everything was just right. Her parents, her older brother, and a few other relatives arrived early, chatting and laughing as they helped set the table. The house was filled with warmth, but Lana's mind was sharp, focused entirely on the task ahead. When Jake and Lily walked in, they seemed blissfully unaware of what was about to happen. They exchanged light kisses on the cheek, laughing and talking about their day as they moved toward the living room. Lana greeted them with a forced smile, her heart pounding beneath her calm exterior. Her family greeted them cheerfully, welcoming Lily with open arms. The evening began normally enough, a few glasses of wine, catching up on family news, and plenty of laughter. For a while, Lana focused on making small talk, keeping her composure as she moved through the conversation. She wasn't just acting for her family, she was building the perfect setup, waiting for the right moment to lay her trap. Eventually, after everyone had helped themselves to food, Lana took a deep breath. She reached into the pocket of her jeans and pulled out her phone. She had already set up a slideshow, an undeniable visual proof of Jake and Lily's betrayal. The photos, text messages, and recordings she had collected over the past few weeks flashed across the screen. each moment more damning than the last. "Everyone, I'd like to show you something," Lana said calmly, holding up her phone. She stood in the center of the room, the flickering screen catching the attention of every family member. "I've gathered some things that I think you should all see." Jake and Lily exchanged a glance, their smiles faltering. "What is this, Lana?" Jake asked, his voice steady but with a slight edge of confusion. Lily's brow furrowed as she leaned forward slightly. "What are you talking about?" Lana didn't answer right away. Instead, she started the slideshow, one picture after another. Jake meeting Lily in the cafe, their late-night texts, the voice recordings of them planning their next secret meeting. The room grew silent as her family watched, each frame sinking into the hearts of those present. It began with a photo of Jake and Lily together, sitting close at the cafe, laughing. Then came the text message, plain as day, where Jake confessed how much he missed her and couldn't wait to see her again. The next slide showed more messages. Pictures of Jake's car parked outside Lily's apartment, notes of timing and excuses they had both used to cover up their affair. Lana kept her eyes fixed on her family as their faces shifted from curiosity to shock, then horror. Her father's mouth fell open, his brows knitting together in disbelief. Her mother gasped, pressing a hand to her chest, shaking her head. Her brother's eyes narrowed as he leaned in closer, reading the messages that revealed the betrayal. But the most painful reaction came from Jake. His face turned pale, his jaw tightening as he saw the evidence. He glanced at Lana, his eyes narrowing with anger. "Lana, what is this? What are you trying to do?" Lily, too, looked shaken. At first, she tried to laugh it off, brushing it aside. "This is ridiculous. Someone must have made this up." But the more she saw, the more her smile wavered, until it completely vanished from her face. Lana finally spoke, her voice steady yet firm. "This is real, Jake. This is what's been going on behind my back. I gathered this. Everything you've been hiding. Every text, every lie, every meeting." Jake took a step back, his face contorted in disbelief. "Lana, you're twisting things. These are misunderstandings. You're making something out of nothing." Lily scoffed, shaking her head. "This is insane. You can't prove anything. You're just trying to create drama." "Oh." But Lana refused to back down. "You know it's not just drama. You both thought I wouldn't find out. You thought you could live this double life and I'd be blind to it. Well, now everyone knows the truth." Her family exchanged glances, unsure of what to say. The weight of the evidence was too overwhelming to dismiss. One by one, they absorbed the reality of what was unfolding before them. Lana's father cleared his throat, his expression turning stern. "Jake, Lily, is this true?" Jake looked around, his usual charm crumbling under the weight of everyone's scrutiny. His lips tightened as he searched for words. "It's not what it looks like," he muttered, but his voice lacked the confidence it once had. Lily, however, was less composed. She crossed her arms, looking defensive and defiant. "This is all made up. Lana's lying to destroy both of us." Lana's eyes flashed with anger. "Lying?" "No, Lily. I've been watching. I've been gathering proof, and now you both have to face it. The truth. That you've been betraying me, our family. That you thought I'd never know." Jake's shoulders slumped as he realized there was no way out. He looked from Lana to his family, his face twisted in frustration. Lily, however, looked on the verge of panic, glancing nervously at the family members surrounding her. The room was silent again. The reality of what they had done hung heavily in the air. Lana could feel the weight of their guilt, and it fueled her determination. This wasn't just about confronting Jake and Lily. It was about making sure they both fully understood the consequences of their betrayal. Lana's mother finally spoke, her voice trembling. "How long has this been going on?" Jake's eyes darted to the floor, unable to meet anyone's gaze. Lily, meanwhile, remained silent, biting her lip as though holding back tears. "Answer us," Lana's father demanded. How long have you been deceiving my daughter? Both of you?" I didn't mean for it to happen," Jake mumbled, glancing nervously at Lana. "It didn't mean anything. It was just a mistake." "A mistake?" Lana's voice rose, sharp with fury. "A mistake is forgetting to call someone back, not betraying someone you supposedly love." Lily finally spoke, her voice shaking. "We didn't plan for this to happen. Things just got complicated. We didn't mean to hurt you." Lana's jaw clenched as she stared at her sister. "Complicated? You think complicated excuses what you've done? You've destroyed everything. You've broken my trust." For the first time, Lily looked genuinely ashamed. Her eyes welled up with tears, but she quickly wiped them away. Jake, on the other hand, was seething with defiance, his pride wounded. He didn't want to apologize. He wanted to fight back, to deny everything. But it was too late for that. Lana knew that this moment was crucial. It wasn't enough to just expose them. They needed to feel the full weight of their actions, and she had the perfect plan to make sure they did. As the family members continued to process what they had seen, Lana took a deep breath, her voice firm. "This isn't just about confronting you, Jake, or you, Lily. This is about making sure you both understand the consequences. You've humiliated me. You've betrayed me. And now you're going to pay for it." Jake shot her a warning glance, but Lana didn't care. The damage was done. Her family knew the truth now, and it was only a matter of time before the fallout would spread. She had waited long enough. Now it was time to take control. And she wasn't going to back down. After the shocking revelation at the family dinner, Lana couldn't sleep. The adrenaline had worn off, but her mind refused to quiet. She replayed every word, every expression, the betrayal etched deep into the hearts of her family. The silence after her exposé had been telling. Jake and Lily's discomfort was clear, but they hadn't been able to outright deny the truth. For the first time, her lies, their secrets, had been exposed in front of everyone who mattered. Now she knew her next move had to be carefully calculated. This couldn't be impulsive. She had to secure her future, and it wouldn't be enough to reveal the affair. She needed consequences that would last. Lana rose early the next morning and poured herself a cup of coffee. The sun hadn't fully risen yet, and the house was quiet. She sat at the kitchen table, her phone in front of her, scrolling through her notes, messages, pictures, recordings, everything she had gathered. It wasn't just about getting revenge anymore. It was about ensuring she had a legal foundation, something she could present if things ever spiraled out of control. She had already consulted her lawyer after gathering the evidence. Now she reread the advice she had received. The lawyer had warned her to tread carefully, but had also assured her that everything she had collected could be used in court. The key was ensuring she documented it all meticulously and approached things methodically. But the lawyer had also made one thing clear. Her next steps had to be precise. If she chose to confront Jake and Lily directly, without a plan, it could backfire. They might try to spin the story in their favor, manipulate sympathy, or cast doubt. She needed to handle this with clarity, but also with force. Lana decided to take the first step, a recorded conversation. It wasn't just revenge. She needed to gather more. She wasn't convinced that either Jake or Lily would come clean without pressure, but there was a chance, just a slim one, that they would let slip something incriminating. That afternoon, she arrived home earlier than usual, just as Jake was getting ready to leave for another meeting. He had been lying about his whereabouts more frequently over the past few days, and she suspected he'd been meeting with Lily at least once a day, using any excuse to escape the house. "Hey," she greeted him softly when he walked through the door. Jake's face brightened momentarily before he realized something was different. "Hey, what's up?" Lana poured herself a glass of water, keeping her expression neutral. "Not much. Just working on a few things." Jake leaned against the counter, his brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" Lana took a deep breath, weighing her words carefully. She wasn't going to reveal all her cards just yet. "I thought we should talk. About everything that happened the other night. What we saw at dinner." Jake's eyes narrowed slightly. He had clearly expected some kind of fallout, but he hadn't expected her to bring it up so directly. "What about it? It's not like I cheated on you, Lana. This is all just some misunderstanding." Lana poured a little too much force into her next words, letting her anger seep through. "A misunderstanding? You think those texts, those photos, those recordings are just some mistake? That's not a mistake, Jake. That's betrayal. You lied to me. Both of you lied to me. Like I'm some fool who wouldn't figure it out." Jake's eyes flicked to hers, but he remained quiet for a moment. Lana's tone had shifted, and he could sense her determination. "Look, Lana, Don't," Lana cut him off, her voice hardening. "I don't want to hear your excuses. I know what you did, I know what you've been doing, and I've got everything I need to prove it." Jake tensed, his body going rigid. "Proof? What are you talking about?" Lana took out her phone and began scrolling through the photos and text messages. She picked up the device and slid it toward him on the counter. "These are just a few of the messages you sent to Lily, inviting her out, planning your meetings, sharing things that you didn't think I'd ever see. And look, here's a recording of you two, her voice, your voice, talk." Jake's face turned pale. His usual confidence wavered as he leaned in to see the screen, his eyes darting from one incriminating image to the next. The recordings couldn't be faked. The words, the cadence, it was undeniable. His denial shriveled beneath the undeniable weight of the evidence. "Lena, Jake tried again, but Lena interrupted him. "No more lies. No more excuses. You thought you could keep this from me, didn't you?" she said coldly. "You and Lily? You thought I was blind, but I'm not." Jake took a step back, his hands shaking slightly. "I didn't mean for things to get this far. It was supposed to be nothing serious." Lana's eyes hardened. "Nothing serious? That's what you tell yourself? After everything? After lying to me for weeks? After sneaking around behind my back? You don't get to minimize this." Jake swallowed hard, his guilt evident. But still, he tried to save face. "I love you, Lana. I do. It was just something stupid. I didn't mean to hurt you." Lana's voice dropped to a deadly calm, eyes locked on his. "Love? You think love justifies betrayal? Do you even understand what you've done? You not only betrayed my trust, you humiliated me in front of my family. And you dragged my sister into this mess." Jake sighed, his shoulders sagging. "Look, I'll make it right. I'll tell her it's over. I'll fix this. I'll make sure it stops. Just, please, don't make this bigger than it already is." Ugh. Lana smirked, a cruel edge creeping into her expression. "Fix it? You think you can fix this with a simple apology? It's too late for that, Jake. You and Lily have done something far worse than just make mistakes. You've destroyed my life." Jake's eyes flicked to hers, panic beginning to creep in. "Please, Lana, don't tell everyone. Don't make this public." Lana's heart hardened further. This was exactly what she had waited for. His desperation, his need to salvage his image. He wasn't pleading for forgiveness, he was pleading for damage control. "No," Lana said softly, but her voice was sharp, cutting through Jake's pleas like a knife. "It's too late for that. Everyone already knows the truth now. My family knows. You can't hide from this anymore. And soon, neither can you, Lily." Jake's face twisted in horror, and he glanced toward the living room, where Lily had been listening quietly from the doorway. She had heard everything. She stood there, frozen in place, her face pale, eyes wide with shock. Lily's mouth opened slightly, as though she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Lana watched the gears turn in her sister's head. The betrayal sinking in. The reality that her own lies had been uncovered. Lana turned back to Jake. "You had your chance to come clean, to end this quietly, but you chose to keep lying. And now you'll both have to face the consequences. Jake's voice trembled as he tried once more. Lana, please. There's no need to make this worse. Let me fix it. I'll leave Lily alone. I'll make sure this never happens again. Lana shook her head, her lips curling into a bitter smile. It's too late for that. You and Lily are going to pay for what you did. You've both humiliated me. You've both destroyed my life. Her voice was cold, calculated. This wasn't about mere revenge. It was about justice. The pain Jake and Lily had caused her wasn't something she could simply forget or forgive. The damage was done, and now it was time for them to feel the full weight of their betrayal. Jake's eyes flicked between Lana and Lily, desperation growing in his gaze. But Lana didn't waver. She had made her decision. And this time, she wasn't going to be the one left in the shadows. She would make sure Jake and Lily understood that the lies they'd lived had real consequences. As the reality set in, Jake's shoulders slumped, and he knew this wasn't something that could be swept under the rug. The game was over. The betrayal had been exposed, and now they both had to pay for it. Lana's heart still burned, but the fire that had once consumed her in pain was now tempered with resolve. She had survived the betrayal, and she would rise stronger, and if Jake and Lily thought they could walk away unscathed, they had another thing coming. Because this wasn't just about exposing the truth anymore. It was about ensuring that the truth became their undoing.